Karen. Appreciate it. Hi, everybody. How are you? Let me first point out that I did bring some paper copies, not nearly enough for all of you guys, and the print on it's really small. But if you brought a pen and paper, if you want to write down this tinyurl.com/YCYQCHET, the presentation is there. You should be able to download it. That way you have a copy. You can kind of go back and reference any of the items. When I was asked to do this, I was kind of like, well, I'm not like the expert on everything that you can do without cutting the cord. So I wanted to keep my focus a little bit more on what I did last year, and then expand out to what I've been seeing as like some of the trends, and then open it up to some questions as we go. But I'm going to try to go over my architecture, what I did at home first. And actually, first, what I want to talk about is some of the trends that are happening. Just this past year, there's been a total of more than 500,000 people in the last quarter of 2017 that have decided to move away from cable, or not just cable, but also like DirecTV, so your traditional TV providers. And then in the first quarter, you had an additional 762,000 people, so that's a million and a quarter this year alone. And since this trend started happening, you got about 24.6 million households that have either cut the cord or have never subscribed to cable. Those are the cord nevers. That's like a millennial thing. A lot of, if you know the 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds, as they move out, they're just not buying cable at all. But also in the last few years, the cable companies are making 3% more, although they've lost almost 25 million to 30 million cable subscribers in the last few years. They're still making more money now than what they've made before. That's because for the more limited people, they continue to raise the prices, and probably a lot of you are here because you've noticed that your prices have been going up. And according to Mashable, ESPN alone costs you as a TV customer costs you $9 a month, whether you watch it or not. And that's the whole ESPN platforms, like the ESPN 1, 2, U, all those channels. That doesn't include necessarily the Disney. When you add the Disney, and it's about a $12 to $13 addition onto your normal cable bill. And then the last point here, yes, and according to Fortune, ESPN is definitely the highest per fee for any of the cable networks. What's that?
Monday Night Football.
Yeah, Monday Night Football. Well, a lot of times Monday Night Football is definitely on ESPN. So yeah, if you don't have ESPN, you will miss Monday Night Football. So a lot of people are cutting the cord primarily because there is cost savings out there. So that is a big driver in why people are just not subscribing to cable anymore. There's also raised to be more of an a la carte nature, so you can choose channels or packages based upon what you want. It's not really an all for one kind of size for you. The other thing that I like is that my service fees have all remained stable, so the prices that I'm at are not like going up every month or every year when my contract's up. So all of the pricing that I've got is exactly where I'm going to stay, unless I add or remove services. So that's one thing. But why would you not want to? Well, one thing is sometimes by the time you pay for everything with cable services, your prices could be about the same as if you cut the cord, especially if you are good at going back and negotiating your prices and telling the cable company I'm quitting. And then you get into that quit queue, and then they get you back down to that $130, $140 price range. So if you're okay with doing that on an annual basis and you don't want to have to go through that, then cutting the cord might not be a big benefit to you, as long as you still want to have all of your cable stations. The other thing is when we talk about the convenience and complexity, there are some issues why or why not. Mainly, the one thing with me not having the cord is on my laptop here, or on my phone, or on my Roku stick, or on my smart TVs, or wherever I'm at, if I have subscribed to a service, I can run that service anywhere. But with like Spectrum, if you're not in a Spectrum network and you have the Spectrum app, they won't let you run it. So if you're on your phone and you're driving along and your kids are sitting in the back and they want to watch TV with the Spectrum app, you're not allowed to do that. The other thing without having contracts is I can add and remove services like kind of at will. So there was an Ohio State game last year and we were having a New Year's Eve get together, and so I added ESPN for 1 month. It cost me $15, and then I redumped ESPN after that. So it's nice to be able to like add a service, watch the shows you want to watch, and then you can kind of dump that service if you don't need it. But I will say one of the things with having cable or direct satellite TV is that all of your TV's in one nice little package, right? So you've got a nice grid, you got the 2-week grid, you got all of your channels listed. You're not having to hunt and peck for where you want to go for things. I do think that with Roku, they do have like ability to search all of your services, but it doesn't necessarily search all of your services. So I think that this is an area where cable is definitely a little bit easier. I do also think that with the streaming is that you have a little bit of setup pieces that you're responsible for, right? You've got to buy your pieces that you're going to put when you go to turn on the TV. If you're using antenna versus using your streaming service, you're going to have to tell your TV where you're getting your things. Where most of the time with cable, you turn your TV on, the TV's already on your cable box. So your cable box comes on, you just start changing channels, and you don't really have to think about it. So there's a couple of little things that, when you do cut, that you have to relearn where things are at and how you're going about doing that. And I put on here that live sports, one of the reasons I think in the last couple of years that a lot of people haven't cut the cord is because live sports was a challenge, I'd say more of a year ago than it is today. I put no longer a major issue, although I will tell you like the MLB network, like I use Sling TV and MLB is not on there. It's not even an option. So when the Indians played the playoff game, so one game all season I couldn't get. So I went to Panini's, whatever. So I will also say that there are, I have done some research. There's like a Fubo TV, which is for sports fanatics, and PlayStation Vue does have a little bit more sports, but then you're talking what you want to do with your cost balance. And from what I've seen with all of the streaming systems with sports is that it's a live feed, but it's delayed. So so 90 seconds before a home run is hit on an Indians game, my phone goes. I'm like, oh, I know that's happening. I know something's happening. So that 90-second delay. So when I'm at home watching sports, I turn the notifications off on the game on my phone, so that way I can enjoy it as a regular game. And then everybody else, that still has live TV, they might be posting stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'll see that in a couple seconds. So whatever. Okay, so here is my overall setup for my local channels. I added an antenna to my house. I tried playing around. You'll see all over Best Buy, Amazon, whatever. They have those antennas that you can they're like the flat panel antennas indoor. You can plug those up to your TV. I have 2 friends that have that, and they get all of the Cleveland channels, and it's great. They get all of them. for some reason at my house, when I use one of those, I get 3 and 5, and that's it. So I added the antenna on my house, and I got Fox, and I got the CW, and I got 43, but I still didn't get 19. And I will tell you, I think that if you're a little bit south of Cleveland, off of the lake, or if you're closer to downtown Cleveland, your chances of getting CBS 19 over the antenna is really good. The closer you are to the lake, the more interference you get from across the pond, because there is a Canadian station over there that's got a really good signal, and it comes over the lake, and so I get 2 signals for 1 channel, and so it doesn't know what to tell me. But with my antenna, I'm getting like 35 channels or so.
What's the reception like?
What's that?
What's the reception like on the antenna?
Beautiful. It's nice as any HD that I got through cable or through, yeah. It's a digital. Yeah, it's like all your channels are, it's not 3, 5, and 8 anymore. It's like 5.1, 5.2, 5.3. There's a 3.1, 3.2, because each one of them have like 3 or 4 channels. So there's like 4 PBS channels and that kind of thing. Yeah, no, it's not like a satellite dish. That kind of still goes right on through.
I live in a condo and they don't let you put your antenna up, but they
Correct.
do satellite dish like on posts. So is it possible?
Yeah, you should be able to do something like that. I mean, depending on what's blocking, you might want to talk to somebody, do an Angie's List or a Home Advisor and check for an antenna installer and see if you can get an expert out that can maybe give you a little bit more info. But if you haven't tried, honestly, the internal ones that are those ones that they're selling for like 50, 60 bucks, like I said, a couple of my friends have been those are fine. Like we were at this Sunday, they had a Browns game party at park out in Chesterland. Beautiful signal. That one little internal antenna, it was like maybe about this big. They pushed it up against the wall, and the signal was really good. It just so I would say before you go down the path of looking for something for your house on the roof or on a patio like that you would try one of the, if you buy it, you try it, you plug it in. If it don't work, pack it up, bring it back, right?
Would you need an internal antenna for each TV?
Mine is, when I was experimenting with the internal one, I just bought one for one TV, our main TV, and I couldn't get it to work. When we did this, so here the graphics, as you can see, we have the antenna, and the cord goes down into the basement where we have a splitter, and then we had cable to all of the rooms. So basically the antenna feeds the splitter that went to all of the rooms. And so all of our rooms that had cable have the local antenna service. So, yeah.
How big of an antenna is that?
It's, like this,
It's not giant.
like this. Yeah, I will tell you, like when they put the antenna on the roof, I was like, wow, I feel like I'm in 1970. Right? But I'm like, I'm gonna save money. So I'm like, all right, that's cool, right? So basically we got the big antenna up there running down to our basement into where the splitter is. So every room that has the local channels are still getting that feed. Other than for us, we don't get channel 19. So I'll get into that after this. The over-the-air signal doesn't provide you a grid of like shows, right? So you can put those channels on. You can see, your newer TVs will find the channels you have.
Some newer TVs will actually have it give you.
Yes, if you have a smart TV, and then they might. And I also like the Roku TV if you buy a Roku TV, there's an app that you can install on it, and it'll give you the grid. What I did though is you don't have a DVR though at that point. So there are a couple of different competitors in the DVR space. I went with TiVo DVR, and I didn't buy 4. I bought one of these mini TiVo. So basically what I did with TiVo is my antenna plugs into the TiVo, and the TiVo gives me the 2-week guide, and I have a picture of that. But on the 2-week guide, I have the DVR on there. It's able to DVR up to 4 channels, which is weird because I got 4 channels that I can DVR, but there's less channels that I'm actually DVRing. But the reason I like the TiVo is for all of your popular TV shows, it knows where your commercials start and end. So while you're watching the show and the commercial starts, it'll be like, hit the channel up button, and you hit one button and it starts the show right where the commercials were done. So I love the TiVo because I don't have to even most of the time I don't have to fast forward through the commercials. I just hit a button and it skips the commercial. The TiVo does have internet apps, like supports like Netflix and that kind of stuff. But so if you were not wanting to do a cable replacement and you were doing a TiVo with your antenna and you're a Netflix subscriber or Hulu, you're all good. But they don't really have any other live TV options on there. I think they're working on that, but. And also with my TiVo, there are no monthly fees. So once I bought the TiVo and the antenna, put them in place, got them installed, I'm good. So everything that I want to watch locally is pretty much there. And then according to Roku, 94% of the top 100 most watched TV shows are available via an antenna. So this is not exactly how mine looks because like I mentioned, they're like 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, but I get a grid guide like this. It shows the channels in there. I click on whatever show I want to record and it brings me up a nice little recording options, how many episodes you want. Do you want this season, next season, only new shows, that kind of thing. So you can see here, I got, you got 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, ABC, NBC, and it's not giving me a scroll bar. So I'm kind of out of luck here, but there's quite a few other channels. Like every channel has got different sub channels, so you get quite a few. So internet and phone. I will tell you that at the end there, we were never answering our phone calls. We had the phone basically sitting there with a voicemail answering machine, and 90% of the calls, 99% of the calls other than from Amy's mom and dad were going to the home phone. So it was really just making sure my mom and dad had already been texting, so I'm good. But on Amy's mom and dad, they got new cell phones now. I put our phone numbers into their cell phones. They've got our new numbers, so we're all good. Actually at the time we were looking, they had a deal with T-Mobile where you could buy 2 phones, get 2 lines free for $120. Normally I'm seeing that now for $140. So we were already paying for cell phones for the 4 of us. So, why am I spending more money on the phone? And I will also mention that with T-Mobile, our service is sometimes a little spotty at our house. So we turned on the Wi-Fi boosting on the phone. So if you are using a cell phone and you turn on the Wi-Fi boosting, if you have service that's maybe a little suspect and you're connected onto Wi-Fi, it'll route your calls back and forth between Wi-Fi and the typical cell service. So that even works pretty good when you're inside of like buildings and stuff. And as soon as you get rid of your phone, you start giving everybody your cell phone number for all of the things that you sign up on. All of those spam calls that were going to your home phone now start coming to your cell phone. I recommend an app called SyncMe, and SyncMe will it'll let the call come to you, but it'll block it immediately if you check the setting to say any known spam numbers, nationally known spam numbers to just block. So that's good because then they'll just be blocked off the bat. And then as more people get phone calls from spam callers and they block them, it puts it in their national database, and it'll just keep your phone quiet, which is nice. So I'll go back up to the top. I kind of flipped my order here, but I am currently using DSL Extreme. I have it's on their site. It says it's a Power 45 Meg TrueStream package, and I am paying $62.95 a month for it. It is not a promotion. There is no data caps, and it is not a contract. So I bought it. I've got it. I'm done. When I was looking at doing this presentation, I looked at AT&T, and their service was $40 a month for what it tells you. Then it's a 50 meg package, and it's a 12 meg, but you get a 1 terabyte limit. Or if you want the unlimited, it's $70 a month for unlimited. And then after a year, you get the prevailing price. I will tell you, DSL Extreme came to my house, and they didn't have a DSL Extreme t-shirt on. They didn't have a DSL Extreme van. When they came, their van said AT&T. The guy came into my house with an AT&T logo. The box that I have in my house is AT&T box. So I don't know. I'm not really sure. So I'm still with AT&T, but I don't pay them. I'm just using DSL Extreme.
Okay, so I got rid of cable and I just started streaming. I did the Sling TV.
Yeah.
I did some stuff on Netflix. In 4 days, I used 25 gigabytes.
Yes. Yeah, you go through it quick. Yeah, that's why I wanted no limits.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
need to get with the unlimited plan.
Yeah, so if you're on AT&T right now, most likely DSL Extreme can provide you the same.
Okay.
Usually when you go to their website, they have a place where you can look up and it'll tell you whether you can. I have one other slide with some alternative stuff. There's another internet service that's coming in the area called WOW Internet, and they're pretty inexpensive too, but they're really mostly just in Cleveland right now.
Do you think I will exhaust one TV? I know it's a lot, but if everything is streaming.
Well, like I said, I'm doing my local with my antenna. Depending on what streaming services you get, some of them are offering local channels. I think if you're using all your local and your cable, you would probably come pretty close. Also, depending on how many people are in your house. Like with one, like you mentioned, 4 days you use 25 megabytes.
Just one TV, just me.
Yeah, one TV, just her. So 4 days, I don't know. Who's good at math? I'm usually good, but I'm on the spot right now, right? Yeah. So, if you have 4 people in your house, now that's 100 megabytes in 4 days, right? And then you get, so, I don't know, 20 days times 5, that's only really a couple of, I don't know how quick you're going to get to that limit, but
190 gig a month.
190 gig at her rate.
Yeah.
So that's not that bad. So a terabyte's not that bad. Usually AT&T does say that most people are at a terabyte are usually pretty good. But I know when we were doing our data caps with our Verizon plan, we were really good until we weren't.
Yeah.
Been there.
Right. And then they charge you. Yeah. So me being on DSL Extreme, that's why I can't answer you this question because I don't care. Right.
How new should your TV be?
What's that?
How new should your TV be?
Well, as long as depending on the device you buy, as long as you have an HDMI port, you can plug in a Roku stick and it should work. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be extremely new. I know the Roku also has a device that has those old yellow, red, white wires. So that can go, so you have to make sure whatever streaming device you have is able to connect to your TV.
Who else did you say is coming into the
WOW Internet, they're coming in the area. I also noticed after I got rid of Spectrum, I got an ad last week from them for $19.99 for a 30 megabyte internet, good for a year. And then after that, it goes to some prevailing price. So yeah, to me, I'm still cheaper than what they are. I'm not as cheap as their what their sales price is, but I'm cheaper than their prevailing price. And and since it's AT&T, even though they're advertising it as 45 meg, it's coming in at 50 meg. And I don't have problems with it, so to me it's kind of worth where I'm at. I just want to point out that typically you need about 3 or 4 meg per TV. So if you're going to have 4 people at your house and all 4 of you are streaming, you should be able to get away with about 12 meg internet connection. But if you're streaming and you're taking a phone call and you're using that Wi-Fi boosted, you want a little extra, right? So I would recommend, for 4 people that at the very least you'd probably try to get a 20 meg connection. Yeah.
Unless you have children with online gaming.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, if you have online, the more that you got, then the better, right? Yeah, right. So you guys have to gauge how much you're really using. There are some streaming services that will give you 4K if you have a 4K TV, and right now that's about a 20 meg connection. So if you have a couple 4K TVs and you subscribe to the Netflix 4K level, have at it. Then I would say then you're probably got more money and don't need to get rid of your cable. Okay. So my house, we use a combination of the Roku boxes and Roku TVs. These Roku TVs were really pretty inexpensive, but they're HD TVs. And what I kind of like about the Roku TV is that in a traditional TV, when you get it, you get the when you want to change your inputs, you have to hit the input button, and then it brings up the input, and then you got to arrow down to the HDMI 2, right? Well, with the Roku, it's like whatever you got plugged in there, you got a Nintendo Switch, you call it Nintendo, and then another box called, TV, and another one for whatever else you have in those inputs. So it's like kind of nice because, like you can see here, it's like it says, cable TV, game console. I can't read that. I think that says DVD player, right? So what's nice with that is it's simple, right? So I've got this easy little remote that just got these up and down and a couple of play and pause buttons on it. And when I turn the TV on, I have to pick what it is that I want to watch off the bat. Whereas like my traditional TV in my living room, you have to tell it which input you want. And then that just makes it such that certain people in my house can't figure out how to get to where we need to go. So like I said, I have a couple of these pucks, but they, for my mother-in-law, and actually on the campus, we're buying the Roku sticks. They just are a little HDMI, they plug on in and they're pretty easy. Roku is right now the most popular TV streaming device, and it offers the most amount of channels and apps as compared to other devices. I will talk a little bit about other devices, but there are obviously Amazon Fire Sticks and Apple TV, and Google's got one that they're coming out with, and I mean there's more options every day. The Roku is reasonably priced. Actually, and I have a slide on it, when I signed up for Sling TV, right now they have, when you sign up for 2 months of service, you get a Roku stick for free. But you can normally get a Roku anywhere from like $30-40 to like $100-120 if you want to get that 4K model. I think the Apple TV ones that they just released are like starting at like $200. So.
I just got a Roku Express, and I think it was
20, yeah, 26, right, yeah. So they're pretty inexpensive, right?
What's the difference? Is there a difference between the stick and the puck?
There are some differences, yeah. Each one has a slightly different processor, so you start to get like technical, like as to what you can actually do. The pucks tend to, like, at some point in the future, as they add more services, the stick is a little more limited, so they might not be able to future-proof it.
Require external power?
Both the puck and the stick require an external power. Yeah, it gives you a USB. The puck has a the little plug in the back. And they also have the puck that I'm showing has you can do either Wi-Fi or it's got a network cable, and then it's just got an HDMI slot on it. But they have a puck that has the old ones, and I'm not sure what else other configurations, but there's like 4 or 5 different levels. And I think that there's the newest one will let you, like the Roku 3 and above, they have like Roku games that you can play, but I've never done that.
Can I just clarify something with the Roku Puck? So you have the option of going out to Wi-Fi or just going right through the TV?
Yeah, I think that, they have both. Yeah.
You don't have a Wi-Fi connection to make the Roku work, correct?
You can plug it in. Yeah, this one's got well, this Roku 3 has got the plug.
Stick you would need.
A stick, you have to have Wi-Fi. Yeah, there's not a port there for it.
What does the puck cost compared to?
Like I said, they all range between, like you said, 26 to about 120.
There's a bunch of different versions.
They just refresh the models. There's like 3. There's normally 3 plus the stick is what they do. And like one of the other options, which is nice with the Roku 3, is that the remote has a headphone jack on there. So especially if you have little kids and you're trying, or you don't want to disturb like people if you want to watch something a little louder, you can put your headphones on, watch on your main TV while you're just sitting there like late at night. Okay. So with my Roku, these are my primary apps that I'm using. There's obviously a million different apps you can get. One that I didn't list is like YouTube. And with YouTube, a lot of times like we'll just put the music, pick a music version, and it'll just start playing videos and play videos, music videos for hours while we're cleaning up and stuff like that. Probably most of you already have Netflix. I don't know if anybody here doesn't have Netflix. I don't know if you. There's a lot there. Netflix is going up $1 a month, so my spreadsheet doesn't capture that yet.
They're still cheap.
It's still pretty inexpensive. Amazon Video, I do not have Amazon Live TV, but I still have Amazon Prime Video. So you get quite a few shows and movies off of Amazon Prime if you're an Amazon Prime member. So if you're already paying for it, it's just another service that they give you that you can use. I am primarily for the cable. I am using the Sling TV, and I have a channel list for that. And then CBS All Access, I was going to buy anyway because I am a Star Trek fan, and Star Trek Discovery is only on CBS All Access. So I am a built-in $10 a month for CBS All Access, whether I had cable or not, because I cannot not watch Star Trek. And then we have been trying to let people know Pluto TV, it's free. They say they have 100 channels. I think it's really like 70 or 80, and then there's like 15 or 20 like music channels. I don't know if on your old cable box you used to have those music choice channels. They've got the Pluto music kind of like that, and then they have kids channels. They have news. They have tech news. They have old movies. They have horror. I mean, they have like the World Poker Tour channel and the WWE channel. So all kinds of little nuggets. Yeah, it's kind of, it doesn't let you DVR or anything, but it does let you watch live. And then I do on occasion use Vudu. Vudu, I will allow you to watch some free movies with commercials. So on occasion, I'll be hunting for a movie and we'll watch it that way. But I do not necessarily subscribe to anything with them.
Which channels do you watch your sports through?
Sling.
Yeah.
Now, do they have the college games as well?
If you subscribe to the Sling Orange and then you add the sports pack on it, then I think that they have the ESPNU in that pack. But I am not, again, I will admit it. I like to watch some sports, but I am not the hugest sports fan. So you will probably need to be on both Sling Blue and Sling Orange in order to really cover sports total. That's $40 a month. I will tell you what I got. So we got, I have I have Sling Blue, which allows you 3 streams at a time. So I can be watching in 3 locations. And it will let me, and I have basically for sports, I have the Fox Sports Networks, FS1, FS2, and the NBC Sports Networks. But I do not personally have the ESPN and the extra ESPN packets. I also do not have, because I do not do the orange, I do not get like the Disney Channel and that kind of stuff. My kids are a little older, so it's not that important to me, although my daughters are named Ariel and Jasmine, so yeah, doesn't make sense, right? Yeah, I don't know how that happened. So as part of Sling Blue, you get 54 channels. This is the channel lineup. As you can see, I got like USA, I got Bravo, I got Sci-Fi, FX, I get comedy, HGTV. And just last month, they had 4, these are each $5 extra. These include things like Hallmark Channel, VH1, I've got MTV, Country Music Channel, TV Land. There's like a Sling Kids package, which has like the extra Nickelodeon and Bloomberg and Sling Kids, and then this like news extra, my wife was like, are we gonna be able to watch those Christmas movies on the Hallmark Channel? And I'm like, no. I really like those movies. And I was like, well, $5. So I figured, well, for $5, I added the $10, so I got 37 more channels. I don't know. I don't think that we've watched any of them since I added them. Right? Yeah, Christmas hasn't started yet. Yes. Yes, they'll be starting soon. I can end the package at any time. Actually, when I added the package, they only charged instead of charging me the $10 to keep it on my monthly billing cycle, they charged me $1.27. And then next month they'll charge me the extra 10 when they do the whole 35.
Does that pop up on your screen, or how do you find out about those extras?
Well, it's on their website. Like if you log in with your user ID, it'll show you. They add for you in your My account.
It's automatic. I just hit Sling and I'm in.
Yeah, when you hit Sling, when you add and if you're adding or removing channels, it's not when you're on your TV. You can go to your computer and add them, or on your mobile device. So you log in, so you can log in where you can cancel, you can add and remove the channels. It's like they give you like your My Account features, and that's where you can, check the box and hit go, and they make it pretty simple for you because they'll be glad to take your money.
You have that My Sling Blue. If you just want to add, say, like 2 of those networks, is that still $35?
They have this is a $25 pack. They have a $20 pack, but the $20 pack is Sling Orange. And Sling Orange comes with some of these channels. They do not come with the Fox Sports Network and that kind of stuff, but it comes with like the ESPN and the Disney stuff. But then you get some of the extra, like I think that they still have like AMC on there, and TBS and HGTV are still part of that core. The app, it's an app, yes. See, every TV and every app is different. So that's one of the issues. That's why I'm saying in the beginning, one of the issues with is not having cable and having the smart TV or a streaming stick. There are technical things that you kind of need to know how to do, right? So your best bet would be to find somebody that's like 20 to come to your house.
Even 13.
Or yeah, even 12 or 13 is even good. If you have like a Samsung TV or an Apple TV, you have to go to their channel store and download the app for if it's built into your TV. It's just that every TV is different. So it's really the age and the model, and as they change things. Again, that's why I said in the beginning, there are certain things that you get with cable you don't have that troubleshooting. You call somebody, they tell you to do this, and you're done. When you've cut the cord, the troubleshooting is up to you and your local teenager. Right. So I don't know how else to put it, but okay. So I did update this with my extra $10 for my Hallmark channel. So off the bat, I was paying $205 with Time Warner.
I believe that too.
And I was still paying $10 and my $8 a month for Amazon Prime. So I just kind of built it in because it just moved on over. So my monthly total was $223. I added the cost for my antenna and the TiVo as $13 a month over 5 years. I'm assuming my antenna will last for longer than that. I'm not sure if my TiVo is going to last longer than that, because I'm thinking in the next couple of years there's going to be one device that's going to like have everything integrated. There's a couple of devices that are out there now that are getting closer, but it's just not quite there yet. But in about 2-3 years, when it's there, I will probably buy a new one. So I'm paying $62.95 for internet. And I don't have the phone, and then I was paying $25 a month for Sling, plus the extra $10 that I added for Sling, and then $10 to watch Star Trek. Well, the Roku. When I bought two of my Rokus, I got two. When I bought Sling, I got two of my Rokus for free, and then I had two other smart TVs that I had already anyway.
Are they still doing that?
They are. Yes, if you go on Sling TV and you look at you got to go to the very bottom and you say devices and you see Roku on the bottom. You click on that, it'll tell you sign up now, get your two. And you have options. You can either get the stick or you can get the puck. And I don't know if the puck has the old TV setting on there or not. Yeah. So I'm saving about, like last year until I added the Hallmark channel, I was saving about $90. So now I'm saving about $80. And then that 1 month I added ESPN, I spent extra $15. Now with Sling TV, I have DVR service on my Sling TV. That's also $5. But I was on the beta testers, so my $5 isn't showing on there because they gave me DVR service for free for life. So yeah, that's cool. I should mention that a lot of the services do offer DVR services. With Sling TV, it's $5 a month. You get 50 hours of DVR. You can record pretty much as many channels as you want. It does allow me to fast forward through the shows, through the cable, except for on FX. For some reason, FX was not, with the licensing agreements, FX would not allow them to use the DVR service. So now they did add FX, but when I do FX, it still shows me the on-demand version. So when I watch the on-demand version, I still get the commercials. I can't fast forward through them until they take it off of on-demand, and then it becomes a traditional DVR for me, and I can DVR and fast forward through the commercials at that point, but it's usually like about a month later. That's my Sling.
Oh, that's what's like.
Yeah, Sling, and then I added, so that was my Sling, and then and then here I added this essential package for $10 a month. So my savings went from 90 down to 80. Yeah. Yeah.
Sling, it uses some DVR, is it a physical device that you get?
No, it's a DVR in the cloud. All of your streaming providers will, when they talk DVR, it's in the cloud. So depending on the device you're watching, whether they support their in the cloud DVR or whether they don't support their in the cloud DVR. So like when Sling first put the DVR out there, it was supported on Roku, but it wasn't on my computer. But now the DVR is on my computer. So they're trying to get it out to as many devices. The DVR is now also on my phone, so I can look at but about 2 months ago, the DVR wasn't a phone option either. So depending on who you buy, if you're buying Sling or PS View or whatever, and on the device. So again, like I said, the convenience is there. Just knowing what you've got and how you're comparing your services, it's sort of like a huge matrix of like kind of figuring it out, which is inconvenient, but you know, I'm saving 80, 90 bucks a month, so it's worth it. Actually, and to be honest with you, I feel like, I will tell you, after I called the cable company and I said, we're canceling, because I had everything set up, I kind of went through like a couple days of like, did I do the right thing? Am I really, I mean, I have enough money, I could just go back. But actually now at this point, I won't go back.
Is it, as far as the DVR, couldn't you just go to Netflix and watch?
Well, if it's a show that, even with Sling TV, most of the channels have their on demand, so you can go back and watch on demand. Or you can, if they provide it on Netflix, you can watch it back on Netflix. Or some people subscribe to Hulu. All right, Hulu's got a lot of those come up the very next day. So it's a personal decision. If you want it, it's there. I'm just telling you that with Sling TV, you have 50 hours. With FX, it's a little kind of kludgy, but all the rest of the channels are how you would expect it to work.
So I maybe missed something here, but if I have Sling and it has a DVR option, why do I need TiVo?
Well, Sling doesn't have my local channels,
So I have to have TiVo for the local app.
so I use the TiVo for the local channels. There are services out there that have quite a few more local channels, like PS View, and I got a slide on that. But the problem with PS View is what Sling does with FX, PS View does with CBS. And one nice thing with PS View is you can DVR as much as you want, but you can only keep it for 28 days, and then it goes away. So I got a slide on that. So again, so that's how I'm set up. Some other things like for your local TV DVRs, there's Channel Master DVR, really highly rated, supposed to be pretty good. I didn't buy it, but it looked like a really great option. It still looks like a great option. There is this Tablo Dual over-the-air DVR. It lets you stream your local channels. That works with the Roku TVs, like more native. And then there's this Air TV that's Sling TV just came out with. So basically it's an over-the-air box that's integrated with Sling TV. It's like everything all in one, but it doesn't look like it's quite ready to be everything for everything yet. So that's what I'm kind of keeping my eye on to purchase maybe in another couple of years if they kind of get the bugs out of it. And then for internet services, like I said, I've been looking at this WOW Internet, which just launched in Greater Cleveland. It's not in Willoughby, but they have a place where you can put your address in and it'll tell you whether or not they offer you service. You still have the traditional service providers, Spectrum and AT&T. There are a bunch of streaming devices, like we've mentioned, all the smart TVs. You got that Fire Stick, the Chromecast, the Apple TVs, some of your Blu-ray players. When you buy them anymore, my Blu-ray player has a lot of apps on there, but it still doesn't have all the apps that I want. So that's why I'm still with, I use the Roku. And to be honest with you, I got rid of the Netflix Blu-ray subscription because if I want to watch a movie, I'll just go on to Amazon Prime, or for Roku's got Fandango, and I'll just pay the $4, $5 and do it on demand, and all the new movies are there. So other cable replacements other than Sling TV is, I think the best The other two that are the best two really right now are PlayStation Vue and DirecTV Now. I feel like DirecTV Now is not an option for myself because I think that their pricing plans start pretty high. I think they're in that $60, $70 range. The PlayStation Vue has a initial pricing that's $40. I really think their core package at $45 is a pretty good package. The nice thing with the PlayStation Vue is if you don't really want to mess around with antennas and that kind of stuff, PlayStation Vue has all of the local channels on there. One of them is an on-demand channel though, so you don't get what's happening right now, but you do get the on-demand on that the next day. But it does have like the NBC and ABC and all of that stuff. Fubo TV is being marketed to sports fanatics. So Fubo TV, if you're watching nothing else but sports like all the time and you don't want to pay for the Hallmark channel, then Fubo TV is probably a good option. I've also was looking at like the YouTube and TV and Hulu Live TV, and both of those are good to watch. They're getting there. I didn't feel like either one of them had enough to offer, and I have a couple of actual slides on them. Actually, the regular Hulu TV, not the Hulu Live, but there's the Hulu normal app has a lot of the on-demand next day, kind of like a Netflix thing, but they get a lot more of the current shows where Netflix is also doing their own shows. And then, like I said, between Amazon and Fandango, I have plenty of, like, if I wanted to watch a current movie that just came out. So this is the channel lineup for PlayStation Vue. Like you said, ABC, Fox, CBS. The NBC is on demand only. This was the $45 package. You got both the ESPNs, ESPNU, FS1, FS2. See, they had the MLB channel. If I was here, I'd been able to watch it. But they don't have the Hallmark channel, so it's not an option. They might have it in the extra packages, I don't know.
You need a PlayStation device?
You do not need a PlayStation device for a PlayStation Vue. It's pretty compatible with most devices. You do want to sign up, look at which devices they had. I think there's like one that's kind of popular out there. I think it's the Chromecast. It doesn't run on Chromecast devices, but you'd have to double check. Anyhow, so for $45, they got about 63 channels. I'm at $35, I got 95 channels. Whatever. 30 of them I'm not watching anyway. And as I mentioned, the DVR, you can DVR as many shows as you want. So you have all of this power, like a genie, but you only have 28 days to watch it. So it's like stuck into the little, into the genie's bottle there. So we have a closer look at Hulu TV Live. Again, you get 50 hours of cloud DVR storage. You get the Hulu streaming app, but you don't get the commercial free for the $39.99. And it, again, includes some local channels. And you can stream to 2 devices. That's something else that you have to check when you're picking your services. Like Hulu Live TV is 2 devices. Stream is on Orange, it's 1 device at a time, or it's 3 devices for the blue channels. PlayStation Vue does allow you to stream on up to 5 channels at a time. 5 streams at a time. So it's something you got to think about. And I have a slide dealing with Kodi, which is one way that people are using. Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah.
One of your slides said you can stream the channel on 3 different televisions.
Yes.
Is that just the same channel on 3 TVs, or you could go different channels on 4 TVs?
Sling, I think, allows me to do the channel on 3 televisions, and then I can do another channel on 3 televisions.
I think when you get the blue and orange together, you can go for 5.
Well, when I did the orange with ESPN, they still only let me do 1 with the orange. And then when I went to go put the football game on another TV, the other one stopped working. So, yeah. So I don't know. We actually have 3 TVs in the house. So we've never really, haven't experimented too much with it. Yeah. I mean, the chance that you're all watching the same show at the same time.
We should be in the same room
Yeah, most likely. Yeah, right. Yeah. I did put a slide in here about something called Kodi. Kodi allows you to stream any of the content you own to any of these kind of devices. And Kodi software itself is legal to use, but there are a lot of plugins out there that will allow you to view pirated content. I put it out there because I want people to know that you will hear cord cutters talking about, well, I watched the new movie on Kodi, or I watched a sporting event that's not necessarily legal on Kodi. And my personal opinion on it is that even though Kodi technically is legal, the plugins itself are not necessarily. What they're showing you is not legal. And I've been seeing that they are starting to crack down on the illegal streaming like that. And the other thing is, like, if somebody's putting out a Kodi app and they're willing to steal from the movies and from sporting complex, then you're also inviting that person into your house and onto your network. So I very highly recommend not installing Kodi. That being said, there is the Kodi app in the Windows 10 App Store. You can run it on Linux. It does run on iOS. You can crack a Fire Stick and run it on that. Roku doesn't support Kodi at all, but Roku does have a screencasting. So anything I'm running on my phone or on a computer, I can screencast over there again. But again, like I said, personally recommend against it. So I figured I would just throw that out there.
My neighbor has just a very small antenna events, especially channel 19.
Well, 19 itself is a rough one with the antenna. But through CBS All Access, the live stream does include all of the sports on it now. So when I first signed up for CBS All Access last year, the Browns games were not, they would black the Browns games out. But sometime during the year, they got through whatever contracts, and so they show up on CBS All Access now.
Antenna though, it's just a small one. Is it just getting 3, 5, and 8, 19, 25? Or?
Well, like I said, I got a big antenna on my house, and I still don't get CBS. So again, there's a reason why people started going toward antennas, cable back in the day, because the antenna services, sometimes you're either going to get it or you're not. So you can either, like, you could potentially continue to buy bigger and bigger antennas, but at some point, you kind of have to balance. So your best bet would be to try one of those mid-size or like home ones and see if you get the stuff that's like a thing like about like this big. And if that works, then that's great. If it doesn't work, then you would need to really consult with a professional for your area. I don't know enough technical things to tell you at your house whether it's going to work or not. So you would need to consult with somebody. All right, thank you guys.
The Knowledge Exchange is a presentation of Lakeland Community College.